falafel.
Good old Reinbeck falafel.
Well, that's what inspired this. And it's Meatless Mondays, so
It
yeah.
is Meatless Monday.
Yeah. So I made some hummus earlier. That's what's already in here.
So now what do you add? What the heck is in there?
Well, that's spinach and chickpeas. That's all it is. But I'm gonna put in some roasted red pepper hummus.
Oh, you made the hummus.
Yeah, I made that.
So you made that with other chickpeas first.
Yes, I'm not gonna use all of it, and the rest I bought some things for you to dip in there. But we do have to get it cool. And then we're gonna put in some other ingredients.
Right.
You know, it's just a recipe my sister sent me. So,
Cool. Sounds good.
I'm glad I'm talking over that fine Irish song, by the way.
What do you mean?
Oh, I hope nobody listens to it.
Oh, the one about the drunken sailor?
Yes.
Oh, yeah. I know. I think I know what line you're talking about.
Yeah.
That's all right. All right. Well, soon this will be falafel.
Yes, eventually. This is nowhere near. I gotta put flour in there. I gotta put hummus. I'm actually gonna put in some green goddess salad dressing. So we'll see what it turns out.
So you're telling me I have time to film the podcast?
Yeah, you got hours to film the podcast.
All right. I'll see
This
you.
might be dinner for tomorrow night.
That's all right. It sounds like fun.
So,
I'll see you later.
okay, love you.
Love you too.
Bye-bye.
Hi, everybody, and welcome to the Paws for Stitches podcast. My name is Candy, and I'm coming to you guys tonight from my craft room in New Jersey. I wanted to take a moment to welcome anybody who's new to the podcast, who is finding me for the first time, and a special welcome as well to any returning viewers who are coming back because you actually maybe enjoyed spending a few minutes with me some other time on some other episode. I just wanted to let everybody know that in terms of social media, you can find me on Instagram and on Ravelry as Paws for Stitches. That's the number 4. And definitely, right now, it's interesting. Somebody recently asked me if I upload my episodes to iTunes. Currently, I have only been uploading to YouTube. So if you do find me on YouTube, or that's where you've found me before, and you are enjoying the episodes, do me a favor and go ahead and click the red subscribe button. Regarding iTunes, I'm trying to figure out how to do that, or whether that is something that I should do. So I actually am throwing that out as a question to you guys out of curiosity. Because I think technology wise, I don't always know all the pros and cons of different things. So if there are other people who actually think that there would be some sort of benefit to me, putting these episodes up on iTunes, please let me know and I'd be happy to look into it. I'm not the most tech savvy person in the world, but I'm also pretty resourceful. So if I figure out, if I have a mission and I know I want to do something or learn how to do something, I usually can figure out how to do it. So please just go ahead and let me know. The other thing I wanted to let everybody know is that we do have a Ravelry group. It's the Paws for Stitches Ravelry group. And you can go ahead on over to Ravelry and find that. And please go ahead and join in. Little by little, we are adding some amazing and wonderful new members to the group. So it's been exciting to get to know people and, see the chatter that goes on there from time to time. And also, too, if you do join the Paws for Stitches Ravelry group, there is a introductions thread. So please welcome and tell us a little bit about yourself. All right. There is one more administrative thing. Well, before I do that, I wanted to let you guys know, this is a disclaimer. So obviously, from the introduction, you could see that Jamie is not with me. He is in the kitchen. He is cooking falafel. So obviously that is sort of in honor of, I don't think it's because he knew I was going to be talking about Rhinebeck on the podcast tonight, but Ever since we had falafel for the first time at Rhinebeck recently, he has been telling me that he wanted to try and figure out how to make it on his own. So that's where Jamie is. So I highly doubt he will be joining us today for this episode, but I figured I would put in give him a little bit of airtime and show you what he's up to, just so you don't think he's slacking off on the podcast. But the other odd thing about this episode is that it is a Monday night. I'm in my jammies, you guys, because it is, I don't know, I get home from work, and unless I'm going to go to the gym or unless I have plans for that night, you can pretty much be certain that the first thing I'm doing is coming upstairs and getting into something comfortable. So I hope you don't mind. I have not dressed up for anybody this evening. You get what you get, and you don't get upset, as we tell the kids at school. So I'm actually kind of comfortable, and as you can see, at least I gave it some thought. I chose my knitted jammies that my mom found for me, actually at Kohl's, maybe a couple years ago for Christmas, because they are really super soft and comfortable, which is very important. So anyway, one more administrative thing. Normally, I spend a good chunk of the podcast doing a little segment about the Jar Along that I am co-hosting with Jen Sheelan of the Jen Sheelan podcast. And I don't have a ton to say about that today because we are, as you know, we're in October. And if you recall, I showed last time, and I'm going to put up a picture of them again. The two feature patterns for October are Jen Sheelan's Genius Pumpkin and Bats jars. Those are not the official names. Those will be in the show notes and hopefully popping up on the screen right now with pictures. But those were the feature jars for the month of October. And for those of you who are new, I've been co-hosting this jar along with Jen Sheelan for months now. And every month we try to feature a different jar and encourage you to make them, because not only are they knit up pretty quickly, but they make super wonderful gifts. And by the way, we are getting closer to Christmas. So if you are interested, the one thing I thought I would show you, where did I put it? Just as a reminder, and I'm sorry to those of you who are entered already for October, because you're probably thinking, yes, this is great. There are not a lot of people entering for this month, so I have a really good chance at the prize. But I feel like it would be wrong for me not to tell people what the prize is one more time, because there is still a week left. And I have made one of Jen's jars in an evening or two. So you've still got an opportunity to score this prize package, which is a lovely skein of yarn from Groovy Hues Fibers, which I will show you their tag right there. Okay, this is the, what was it called? It was the Gathering Ambition colorway. Absolutely beautiful. I thought what better to put in with that was one of Barbara's beautiful Flower Power collection sets. Barbara is the host of the Knitting I Love podcast, and these are super fun and super useful tools for your knitting. And then last but not least, I'm not going to take these out of the package, but I think you can still see anyway that we are talking cupcake stitch markers. So these three things make up the prize for the October jar along. So if you've not knitted one of Jen Sheelan's jars, go over, check out her patterns, and see if you can whip one up. You've got between now and October 31st, and then we'll be shifting gears and let you know what we've got going on for November. So thank you for that. Okay, the next thing I'm going to jump right into, so let me just kind of give you the rundown on what we have going on this evening. There's going to be definitely a Rhinebeck recap. I am going to be talking about the alternate photo challenge that I mentioned in the last episode. I'm going to be talking a little bit about my rug hooking. I will talk about works in progress. I'm going to tell you a little bit about my sheep to shawl adventures, especially because I was just there this Saturday. I have some mail to share with you that's super exciting. I have a Sheepy to award. And then last but not least, I think, yes, Jamie, as I said, he's busy in the kitchen, so he won't be joining us this evening. But if I can get my tech savvy on, I am going to do a little bit of a trailer for what Jamie and one of the things that Jamie will be sharing with you guys in the next episode. So that's it. So we've got a packed episode, I think. So we're going to try and keep this going as quickly as I possibly can. So first up, Rhinebeck recap. Seriously, I can't even believe that it's taken me over a week to sit with you guys and recap my experiences from Rhinebeck. So first of all, just so you know, I'm watching the timer right now because I'm really going to try to be mindful of the fact that at this point, it's been a week since Rhinebeck. So many of you may honestly be a little bit sick and tired of hearing about it, and I totally understand and I totally get it. But I also feel like it would be foolish for me not to recap my very first experience at Rhinebeck with all of you. Rhinebeck pretty much kicked my butt. I would say in general, if I had to characterize, like if somebody had me play the game where I had to characterize my Rhinebeck experience in one word, here it is: overwhelming. Totally and utterly overwhelming. I've heard people, being this was my first time at Rhinebeck, I had heard people talk about Rhinebeck many, many times. So I really and honestly thought I knew what to expect. But when I got there, it was huge. I think that's really what it was. I think I hadn't anticipated the overwhelming size of everything at Rhinebeck. So I definitely think there were just so many people, so many barns, so many foods. There were just so many of so many things that I think it really took me a little bit by surprise. It was no surprise to me that the very first time we ran into my friend Lisa, who is Saratoga Knitting on Instagram and also the lovely host of the Knitting by the Sea podcast. I knew that Lisa and her sister-in-law Tracy and myself and Jamie were going to be meeting up at Rhinebeck. And the very first time we ran into them when we got to the fairgrounds, she looked at me and just started laughing because, and I believe she even mentioned this on her podcast recently, and she is spot on right. I definitely had the whole deer in the headlights thing going on because I was still adjusting to figuring out what the heck do I do now that I'm here at Rhinebeck. So thank you to Lisa and Tracy. It was so good to see your friendly, familiar faces so quickly after getting there at the fairgrounds. So let me jump in. I want to talk about one thing first, and then I want to move on from it because I have thought about this way too hard for the last week. So one of the things I was most excited about with Rhinebeck was the podcaster meetup. And for those of you who've been to Rhinebeck before, you know what I'm talking about. For even myself, being a first-time Rhinebeck goer, regardless of the fact that I now have a podcast or not, that was definitely something that I was looking forward to because it wasn't even so much about people coming and meeting me because I have a podcast. I was really excited to meet people that I've been watching their podcast for quite some time. So here, I thought we get there. It started off. The very first person we ran into at the podcaster meetup was Linda, who is very well known in many, many groups on Ravelry. Linda is an active follower of many podcasts and just offers so much to the knitting community. So she was the very first person that Jamie and I ran into, mainly because she ran up to me and Jamie and was ready to take her Jamie sandwich photo opportunity. We'll talk about that in a minute. But so it started off great. And then from there, I had the opportunity to kind of go around and say hello to some podcasters that I was really, really excited to get the chance to say hello to. I very quickly saw Jacqueline Salem of the Brooklyn Knit Folk podcast. So we got to catch up because I've met Jacqueline before. We actually both attended the Washington County Farm and Fiber Tour, which was organized by Sarah Pomegranate, who's the host of the Yarns at Yinhu audio podcast, who, by the way, we also ran into at the podcaster meetup and got to chat with her for a few minutes, which was lovely. We ran into Lisa, Saratoga Knitting, and Tracy again, which was great. And then also a little bit across the way, I was excited to sort of lock eyes with Sue, Knit24, and one of the hosts, as you all know, of the Legacy Knitting podcast. So I did get to go over it and say a quick hello to Sue and also to Chelsea. So that was great to actually meet them in person. Some of you who have seen my very first episode know that Chelsea and Sue were the first recipients of my crazy Sheepy award that I give out. So it was pretty cool to meet them in person and to be able to say hello. So that was great. And then I don't know what happened. After that, it was almost as if Jamie and I were just kind of standing there. You know, it was almost that moment where you're sort of outside of the fishbowl and looking in and watching all of this amazing good stuff happen. There were just people hugging and talking and just, you know, a lot of admiration, like really people showing their gratitude and appreciation for all the time and effort that people put into doing this whole podcasting thing was great. But for whatever reason, and I'm just going to be honest here, from time to time, I definitely battle with some, I don't know if I would call it significant anxiety, but it's enough that it sort of flares up in different situations. And unfortunately, sometimes it's when I'm not expecting it. So for whatever reason, I all of a sudden felt really overwhelmed being at the podcaster meetup. And even though I started off being sort of confident and courageous and able to go up to people and say hello, I suddenly felt incredibly shy and awkward. And, you know, Jamie and I kind of stood around for a few minutes, and he very quickly noticed that something was up. And, you know, basically he kind of gave me, you know, a few minutes to think about what was going on. And then he sort of said to me, like, hey, what do you want to do? You know, do you want to stand around? Do you want to go for a walk? What do you want to do? And it wasn't long before I decided that I thought, this is too much for me at the moment. So we did actually, Jamie and I kind of, you know, shuffled away. The only regret that I have about Rhinebeck is that next time I need to just relax and be myself and say hello and talk to people, because everybody was just so friendly. And for whatever reason, I just froze. I don't know what it was. I can't explain it. I'll probably never know. And I just know that I can learn from this experience. And next time, hopefully, I'll be a little bit more bold and confident and can be able to reach out and talk to you guys and that are there, that get the chance to go to Rhinebeck and maybe meet some people or get to talk to more people than I did this last time. So anyway, I just wanted to wrap that up by saying that the best line, because the other thing is I had, what did I have, like 100 or 150 buttons that I had showed. I think I showed them on my Instagram feed. So I had buttons, and I also had the Rhinebeck Tic Tac Photo Challenge game boards to hand out. I think out of like 100 or 150, I handed out maybe 7 of these things. So as we're walking away, Jamie and I, one of the things that we both have in common is that we handle awkward and difficult situations with humor as our defense mechanism. So he looks at me, and, you know, I'm trying not to get upset, and he just looks at me and he kind of shrugs and he goes, he's like, so you think you might have overshot the number of buttons that you bought? Maybe you didn't really need 150 buttons. So, you know, of course I bopped him on the head, and, you know, we went on our way and headed back to the building. So that was the podcaster meetup for me. Quite an experience, let me tell you. But next time I will be ready because I'll know what to expect. I think sometimes things are just easier when you already know what to expect. Aside from that, some Rhinebeck highlights for me, and I'm not going to get into too much detail here because I probably will not be describing anything new that you haven't already heard about from somebody else, but I just listed a few. Number one, I think one of the things I really enjoyed, particularly in the area of spinning, was being able to actually see and sort of manipulate and try out some new tools that I've never seen before. That was kind of cool. That's not something that you get the chance to do when you see something online or you just hear about something from another podcast, like to actually be able to, work with a different drop spindle and see how much you like it and to see what it feels like manipulating that with your hands. That was awesome. I really liked that part about Rhinebeck. That and also seeing the yarn in real life, so to speak. Everybody talked about the whole Miss Babs crowd and things like that. And, I know you can get some of these types of yarn online. But for me, even though I didn't actually buy any of it, there was definitely something special about seeing the colors in real life. Not that I've ever had a bad experience before, but if you really had your eye on a particular color for a project, I mean, there was no shortage, obviously, of yarn and variety of yarn to be had. So that was just absolutely amazing in and of itself. The other thing that I was surprised by was the barn with all of the food and the wine. That was quite an unexpected treat. It was nice to be able to try out and test some wines. Jamie and I didn't do much of that at all, but certainly people seem to be enjoying it. The one vendor I would have loved to have gotten closer to was the person that had all of the cheese, because oh my God, cheese, it totally is my kryptonite. I will admit that fully. So I would have loved to be able to try some of the different cheeses from some of the local farms and whatnot. Jamie's favorite booth in that barn was there was somebody who had all of these absolutely beautiful wooden utensils that were just stunning. Different things, just spoons, spatulas, things like that were absolutely amazing and handcrafted. So that was really cool, right up his alley. So that was neat. Another highlight for us was we got the chance, I've already mentioned Lisa and Tracy. We did get the chance to go out for dinner on Saturday night with the two of them. They were staying in Saugerties and Jamie and I were staying in Saugerties as well. So it was awesome. We didn't have to drive very far to meet them, but we went into town, and when we went out to a really cool sort of pub / brewery that we got the chance to check out, which was good fun. And again, perfect opportunity to debrief everything that had happened that day so that I could kind of mentally prepare myself to go back again and tackle it all again on Sunday. So thank you, Lisa and Tracy, for being such great company. We really enjoyed our dinner with you guys. The other thing, then, we went back on Sunday morning, and everybody had been talking about the Leaping Llama show. It did not disappoint. It was so much fun, and it was just really, really cute. It did drag on a little bit. There was a time where I thought to myself, okay, when a llama does not want to jump, he just doesn't want to jump. So that there were a lot of like second, third, fourth chances for some of these llamas and alpaca, and I'm kind of thinking to myself, people, let's just move on with the show. But it was really adorable to see them, and particularly, I always love when you see young people actually handling some of these animals. Again, I often think back to, some things that I wish I had known as a child, that I would be so drawn to this whole world of farm animals and things like that, because I probably would have really begged my parents to get me involved in 4-H or something like that. There's just such an interesting level of confidence that you see in these young people when they're actually handling these animals, and they've grown up with this kind of responsibility of actually taking care of something. So that was awesome to see, because they were very involved in the Leaping Llamas show as well. Last but not least, not last, but I wanted to give a little shout out to Melissa of the Spicy Homemaker podcast, because she was definitely one of the many people that I regretted not seeing or seeking out at the podcaster meetup. Luckily, we had been communicating a little bit, so I reached out to her and I kind of told her, sorry, had a little anxiety breakdown and needed to leave the party. So we, kind of touched base and said we would try to meet up on Sunday. And we did. We got the chance actually to meet Melissa and her son Ashton for falafel on Sunday Actually, Ashton was not a falafel guy, so we were able to get him something else to eat. But it was because it was so much nicer and quieter on Sunday, we were actually able to sit and really talk to them. And it was really nice. I've been looking forward to meeting Melissa for a while. So Melissa, thank you so much. I know you guys were very busy, so I really appreciate you taking time out of your day to spend that time with us during lunch. So that was great. The other thing too that I wanted to just take a quick moment to do, because how could I not show you, even though I don't have a lot to show, how could I not show you what I purchased at Rhinebeck? So I'm going to go ahead and do that now. One of the things in the last episode I talked a little bit about was the fact that Jamie and I have been doing a little bit of rug hooking together. So that was actually one of the things that I was on the lookout for at Rhinebeck. I had already done some research. I knew there would be some vendors there that would have some rug hooking kits and supplies and whatnot. So I thought, it would be good to see if I can find something new to purchase. So that's exactly what we did. And across the room, I actually saw this, which obviously you can probably guess why I would have wanted this. But this is a lab rug hooking kit. Interestingly enough, you can see at the top there, it says that it is, actually you can't see it on that side, but you can see it on this side, that it's a black lab rug hooking kit. That's actually what it's supposed to look like when it's finished, roughly speaking. But what I actually noticed was that they also had yellow lab kits. So I ended up, even though I'm not holding up both of them, I ended up purchasing 2 of these. And even though they didn't have any yellow lab kits left, I purchased 2 black lab rug hooking kits. And the absolutely lovely woman, I think it was Janet Connor. Yep, here's her card right here. Janet Connor. She was great. She actually said, she's like, don't even worry about it. Take both black lab kits and I will send you the wool to replace the black with yellow, with the, sort of a yellow lab colored wool, so that I can actually make 2 different ones of these. Jamie and I actually talked about maybe I'll do one, he'll do the other. But at least then we'll have one that's sort of a Clarence rug hook little miniature thing, and one that's an Addie. So that was something that I was really excited to find. The other place that I was really excited to check out was the Dragonfly Fibers booth. I have never actually knitted with any Dragonfly Fibers yarn, so I've always heard a lot about it. I've seen some of the colors, and it looked absolutely beautiful, and it was nice to be able to see it all in person, like I said before. So one of the things that I actually scored, even though, quite frankly, this is going to be going to a different home other than mine, but I actually was able to purchase 1 skein of their squishy lace base, and then 1 of their, I don't even know how to say this, Ginny, DJINNI. Let me show you that right there. Okay, that's their base. But they actually had a Rhinebeck colorway called Headless Horseman, which was absolutely stunning and beautiful. This is it in the squishy lace. I thought this was so super pretty. Really beautiful color combination. Oh my gosh, this is going to be so hard to part with. But I've already promised this as a prize, so I cannot turn back on that promise now. So we have that, and then same color in the other base. Again, very, very pretty, absolutely beautiful. I think the color is reading pretty true there. Really, really like it. So I think this is going to be absolutely beautiful. Either one of these skeins, they're generous skeins, so soft and squishy. So I was excited to be able to see the Dragonfly Fiber stuff in person, because I would definitely, absolutely 100% purchase this for myself. When their actual slogan, or whatever you want to call it, is the colors of happiness, you can't really go wrong with that. So I loved it. I loved the Dragonfly Fibers booth. That was great. Another thing that I've always heard a lot about but I've never tried, is Socks That Rock. So I was actually excited to see that they had a booth there that had Socks That Rock. This is it in the Fiddlesticks colorway, which I think is absolutely stunning as well. So there we go. So pretty. Oh my gosh, I love the colors in that. This is going to work up so beautifully. So that was another skein that I purchased. That was quite lovely. This is a superwash merino. Really, really, again, another generous skein. Really pretty. I could even see this making a gorgeous shawl. So I thought that was beautiful. And then a couple more things. I did not. Oh, Clarence is getting up because he thinks this is food. It's not food, buddy. It is stitch markers. They cannot be eaten as the way you've been eating everything else that you found. All right, here we actually have some good old Jenny the Potter stitch markers. I want to try and get those close as possible. Look at how cute they are. And then on the other side, if I flip these around, they have little SSK, knit two together. There's the little repeat star thing. Oh my God, Clarence is about to knock over the lights. We have to take a break. Hold on one second. I am so sorry. Monday night filming apparently is very challenging because the dogs are needy and Clarence wants to knock over everything that he possibly can. So we're going to try and get back to business here because I just have one more thing actually to show you guys, and that is, boom, my loop bullseye bump. I have wanted one of these for the longest time. There's no way I'm going to, I don't think, well, I guess you can kind of see the gorgeous colors that are in there. I was so excited to get my hands on one of these, and I have to tell you, it was so hard to choose. This actually, the colorway is called Fly Fishing, and as soon as I saw that, I realized that this absolutely had to be mine. This has merino, bamboo, Tessa silk, and Angelina, all woven into this absolutely beautiful bump, and I cannot wait to spin this. I definitely think I want to spin this on my wheel, and I want to wait because I'm still fairly a little bit newer to spinning. So what I would envision probably wanting to do with this is to spin this on my wheel and then perhaps Navajo ply it. I've not done that yet, so it's definitely something that I would want to learn and practice with other fiber first before I ruin this absolute beauty of a bump. So anyway, I did get my first bullseye bump. I kind of feel like you want to rock it a little bit. It is absolutely stunning. So I'm super excited about that. All right. Believe it or not, that actually was all of, the Rhinebeck purchasing that happened for me. As much as I'm very fortunate to have a husband who was standing there most of the day going, why didn't you buy that? Why didn't you buy that? I was able to practice some pretty admirable restraint, I think. So we'll just leave it at that. And I'm happy with my purchases, even though most of the things that I just showed you are actually prizes for you guys. Again, this first Rhinebeck experience for me was all about taking it all in and figuring it all out. And next time I will be better prepared, even for shopping. So let's move on to one final Rhinebeck thing that I want to talk about, because I'm talking about Rhinebeck way longer than I thought I would be, but I'm going to let that be okay, because I don't know. It's once a year that I'm going to be talking about this, so I think it's okay to share what I've shared. But last but not least, I wanted to recap the Tic Tac Photo Challenge, which I have talked about in my last 2 episodes. This goes kind of along with what I was saying about the podcaster meetup and how I was a little bit disappointed with myself for not being able to talk with more people about the photo challenge and encourage people to join in and have some fun with it. There definitely was no shortage of pictures, I'll say, but I definitely didn't do a good enough job of selling this challenge as best as I could. Perhaps I was a little sheepish. Sorry, I had to say it. Um, but I definitely think there were still a small amount of people who participated, and those that did seem to be excited about it, and that was fun to see. There definitely were still a few fair amount of Jamie sandwiches, which Jamie was excited about, so that was all good. One of the problems that I think I've run into, though, is that I'm not sure if I was entirely clear enough about the rules or directions for the photo challenge. It seems that I have some people who have entered in the Ravelry thread that I set up in the Paws for Stitches podcast group. But it also seems like there are some people who also um, posted some pictures via Instagram and used the hashtag for the photo challenge that I had also encouraged people to use by using it myself. I'm thinking that what I'm going to do is for the people that actually posted in the Paws for Stitches Ravelry thread, I'm going to actually double the number of entries that you get for each entry, just so that I give you an extra chance for putting these pictures, I guess, where I had asked you to put them. I don't want to penalize the people, though, that still had awesome pictures to share via Instagram. So obviously, I'm still going to enter you into the photo challenge contest, but with a single entry for each tic-tac-toe that you posted with pictures in Instagram. So long story short, I'm going to sort this all out. But I just wanted to let you guys know that I am actually going to leave this open until Halloween. I figured that giving it until the end of October seemed appropriate. So last chance for those of you that maybe know what the photo challenge was, but you just never got the chance to actually share your pictures to the Paws for Stitches Ravelry thread, or even post some pictures on Instagram. I'll give you a few more days to do that, and then by the end of the day on Halloween, Jamie and I are going to pull for those prizes, and we'll announce. I'll probably announce the winner on both Instagram and in my Ravelry thread, so that you don't have to wait until the next podcast comes out to find out if you won a prize. So hopefully for those of you, the few of you that have entered, you can see that you still have a really good chance at winning. And I don't have one of the prizes in front of me, but I did post a picture of it on Instagram. I had actually purchased, and again, having a hard time parting with this, you guys, but I had purchased a skein of sweater weather from the Legacy Fiber Arts. Um, awesome, beautiful colorway. So hopefully that will be fun. That's that. One of you will also be winning one of those two Rhinebeck colorway dragonfly fibers skeins that I just showed you. And then last but not least, the third prize will be, so that you can start to already think about next year, the prize will be for a sweater pattern of your choice. So we'll see how that goes. But the other question that some of you might be asking, and I know you're asking it because some people have actually reached out to me, and I'm glad that you did, because I apologize that I wasn't able to kind of get this other challenge up and running at the same time as the Rhinebeck Tic Tac Photo Challenge. But in the last episode, Jamie and I had talked about putting something together for those of you that were not able to go to Rhinebeck. So there is, in fact, going to be another photo challenge. And this one, again, has to do with the fact that some of you, a lot of people maybe were disappointed if you weren't able to go to Rhinebeck. I can totally understand. One of my favorite hashtags that I saw during the weekend of Rhinebeck was actually the hashtag Winebeck. Although I guess it could go either way. You could spell it wine, W-I-N-E. Perhaps you were staying home and drinking wine instead of going to Rhinebeck. Or there's the other wine, W-H-I-N-E, which, again, certainly can understand why you would have been disappointed not to make it to Rhinebeck. But as promised, we have a contest for you. So obviously everything now I've got lined up. I was able to spend some time this last week coming up with another board thanks to some of the wonderful ideas that were shared with me in the Ravelry thread that I posted after the last podcast came out. So we definitely, I think what I'm going to do though is I'm going to let this contest go for about a month so that you can have some fun with it, you guys. And basically, I'm going to let it go through Thanksgiving, actually Thanksgiving Day. By the end of the day, I will close out the thread for that. Because whether or not we can attend these kinds of fiber festivals, we certainly have a lot to be thankful for when it comes to this whole crazy crafty world that we get to be a part of. So I hope that you'll understand what I've titled this new photo challenge, and it is still associated with the fact that you didn't get to go to Rhinebeck, but we're putting a different twist on it now. It's the I didn't get to Rhinebeck, but I'm thankful that I get to challenge. And again, here we go. We have another tic-tac-toe board very similar to the one we had before. I do not have single little cards to hold up for you this time, but I'm just going to go through the photo prompts very quickly. So I'm thankful that I get to craft with good friends, knit with my pets, keep my feet toasty with hand knit socks, use nature as the backdrop for my knitting photographs, cast on new projects, knit a sweater without the pressure of having it finished for Rhinebeck, catch up on watching my favorite and new podcasts, dabble in new to me crafts, and enjoy my favorite beverage while working on a whip. So those are the 9 different tic-tac-toe squares for the sort of variation on the Rhinebeck Tic-Tac Photo Challenge. I hope that that gives you plenty of opportunities to think about some interesting photos that you might take over the next month or so and consider posting in, and kind of putting them up, entering them for this contest. The rules, just very quickly for now, and we'll touch on this again in the next episode, but the rules are going to be that you definitely need to be a member of the Paws for Stitches Ravelry group, please, to enter. Also, it would be lovely if you followed me on Instagram as well, because I think I'm going to do the same thing. I'm not going to tell you what the prizes are today. I'm going to wait till next time or put them on Instagram, but you are going there will be 3 prizes drawn. 2 of them will be drawn via a random number generator through the Ravelry Paws for Stitches podcast group, and then the one I'm actually going to draw as a favorite picture from the Instagram hashtag that I'm going to set up for this, which, by the way, is going to be hashtag thankful TTP challenge. I'm going to put that up here for you guys. Hashtag thankful TTP challenge. That stands for Thankful Tic Tac Photo Challenge. And hopefully you guys will be able to really enjoy yourselves with this. And I promise there will be some fun prizes in store for you. So again, actually, oh my goodness, I forgot. I actually already did plan out the prizes and I totally forgot about that until I just saw my notes right now. The prizes are going to be, one prize is going to be the other of the 2 Rhinebeck colorways from Dragonfly Fibers. The second prize is going to be the Jenny the Potter stitch markers that I showed you earlier. Again, because this whole sort of spin on the photo challenge was supposed to be for those of you who couldn't be at Rhinebeck, I thought it would be fun to bring a little bit of Rhinebeck back for you. And then last but not least, same as the photo challenge for Rhinebeck people, is going to be a sweater pattern of your choice as the 3rd prize. So hopefully that sounds exciting to many of you and you will take the opportunity to jump in on that challenge. Okay, you guys, so obviously I fibbed a little bit when I said that I was only going to talk about Rhinebeck for a little bit, because clearly this is now it's all about the Rhinebeck, about the Rhinebeck, no knitting episode. And I think I'm okay with that because what I'm now deciding is that I am going to take the rest of what I had planned to talk about in this episode and kind of move it and film a little bit more about all the other stuff I wanted to talk to you guys about, maybe later in the week or next weekend when I have the time to do so, and so that this episode doesn't end up being monstrous. So there are two more things, though, that I really want to just share with you. I also I haven't been getting as much in the mail by way of things I've purchased because obviously I wanted to be able to save some of my money for all the goodies at Rhinebeck, which, like I said, I didn't do as much damage as I would have expected, but that's all good. But when I got home from Rhinebeck, I had the most delightful surprise waiting for me. I had done recently, I had signed up to participate in a fall swap with the Lucky Jenny Knits podcast. Hey, Jenny. I'm so glad that I did this. Jenny took the time to partner us up, and I was fortunate enough to be buddied up with Sarah, who is also the host of the Dabbling Shepherdess podcast. And Sarah is an absolute joy. As soon as I found out she was my partner, I actually was not familiar with the podcast. So I felt like, if I'm going to be swapping with this lady, I am going to check her out. And it was very apparent to me how much I was going to enjoy her podcast from the beginning. She's not only a great podcaster, but she is a tremendous swapper and gift giver, and with very special, thoughtful ideas. So very quickly, I just want to show you guys all of the goodies that were waiting for me in this amazing package. First of all, I want to show you the two skeins of Bluebird Alpaca Ranch. This absolutely beautiful alpaca that Sarah purchased for me. It's a DK weight, as you can see. And what I loved is she attached little tags where she actually said where she purchased it from. Some of these were sort of local fiber festival purchases. And this she picked up at the Great Basin Fiber Arts Fair in Salt Lake City, Utah. So really cool, two skeins of this super squishy, beautiful yarn that Sarah picked out for me all the way from where she lives in Utah. So that is amazing. The other skein that she sent my way, and this I'm really excited about because, and I hope I'm pretty certain I'm saying this correctly. I've seen the word a million times, but this is 100% Rambouillet. And this Sarah said that she purchased at the Madrona Fiber Arts Retreat in Tacoma, Washington. So this is actually Sincere Sheep. Again, something I would not really be familiar with out here on the East Coast. Sorry about that. So pretty. I really, really love all of this yarn. It's absolutely beautiful. Sarah, thank you so much. But it didn't end there. I love the yarn is gray, but she also included for me this adorable Notions pouch. This is Toad Hollow, I believe. So pretty, so cute with the little black birds on there and the little yellow specks. The flowers on the trees there, I absolutely love it. So that was perfect. And inside there, she tucked all kinds of goodies, including some washi tape, which is fabulous because I've been using that in my bullet journal a lot. And also some yummy teas, all of course with sort of a fall, flavor theme going on there. This is adorable too. This is an I've Got Your Back, sort of a label that you can stitch inside a garment. Really, really super cute. I love that. I'm trying to think of something special that I can do with that, Sarah. And I wanted to, before I show you my two favorite things, although I loved it all, I wanted to tell you that there was also a special treat for the dogs that was in my swap package. Sarah included a lovely cellophane package filled with little dog goodies for Clarence and Addie, but I'm going to have to put in a picture here. Unfortunately, I cannot show you the treats because just today I came home and Jamie was already home and he said to me, what was in this cellophane package that it appears the dogs found and completely destroyed. So we spent some time going around the house trying to figure out what the heck the dogs had stolen, because, it's not that this doesn't happen frequently in the house. And then all of a sudden it hit me. I said, holy cow, I knew I was going to podcast tonight, so I had put everything, organized all the stuff I wanted to show you guys and put it in one spot in my craft room, but it was definitely not a Clarence proof spot. You may be asking, why do I blame Clarence? Trust me, he is the one who gets himself into that kind of trouble. Addie gets into other kind of trouble. Don't get me wrong, she's not perfect, but yeah, Clarence was probably the one, especially because it involved food. He seems to be able to sniff out food miles away. So as you'll see, if I haven't already put up the picture, I'm putting it up now. This is what is left, Sarah, of the dog treats. So obviously they were a huge hit. And I also think you'll notice that they ate the paper part from the middle of the name tag where it said Clarence and Addie. Jamie and I are thinking they were just trying to wipe out any evidence that what they stole had anything to do with them. So thank you. The dogs loved it. All right. Last but not least, two more things, though, because I was so touched that Sarah included a couple handmade things for me in the swap package as well. One of them being this adorable little project bag, little muslin bag that she did with a little drawstring. Check out how cute that is. But what's really special is that stamped ball of yarn that's on there. Sarah actually explained in her card that she made the stamp herself, and I think I actually heard her talking about that on her recent podcast episode. So I was so excited to actually see one of these bags in the swap. And another thing I had seen Sarah show on one of her episodes were these adorable little knitted pumpkins that I just think are so super precious. I know exactly where I want to put this, Sarah. Jamie actually, he made these, we gave them as gifts, I think, one year for Christmas to friends and family, but these wooden French bread trays that he makes. And we have one on our dining room table, and we're always looking for things that are almost exactly this size to kind of put on there as, seasonal decorations. So that is where that's going to have a lovely home. So thank you so much for that, Sarah. And that said, hopefully Sarah should be getting her package any day now. And the timing of all of this was pretty perfect because in addition to her fall swap goodies, I did tuck a little extra something into Sarah's package. So this brings me to the last thing that I'm probably going to talk to you guys about in this episode, and that is the Sheepy. For those of you who are new to the podcast, I have a wooden sheep award that I give out to sort of recognize and thank podcasters out there for various number of reasons. Sometimes I just like to thank podcasters who've inspired me to kind of jump on this journey with everybody else. I also have taken the opportunity to acknowledge or encourage newer podcasters because it takes a lot of courage to do this, and it's exciting when new people give it a shot. And I even recently gave out a Sheepy to one of my favorite audio podcasts, the Prairie Girls Knit and Spin. So, it doesn't really matter. There's really no rhyme or reason to, there's no one reason to award a Sheepy to somebody. But one of the things I've yet to do, and this seemed like the perfect time to do it, was to take the opportunity to give out a People's Choice Sheepy. A while back, when I was explaining sort of my whole vision for the Sheepy Award, I had asked people to consider nominating other podcasts that they think should receive a Sheepy Award. I have a nominations thread in my Ravelry group that I welcome all of you to go check that out and say a few words about your favorite podcasters. because as you will see right here and there, I'm taking that seriously, you guys. And from time to time, I am going to let you choose and dictate who should get the next Sheepy. I can't hold up the Sheepy right now and show you what it looks like, so I am going to insert a picture for those of you who have never seen one. But if you haven't already caught on, this episode's Sheepy is being awarded to Sarah of the Dabbling Shepherdess podcast, because I think, if I'm not mistaken, either 2 or 3 different people actually nominated you, Sarah, in the nominations thread. And furthermore, if people didn't nominate you, I can pretty well promise you that one of those sheepies would have been coming your way at some point from me anyway. So it's sort of like a double duty sheepy in my book. It's one that's a special honor because other people reached out to me and wanted to give you a little shout out. But I also just want to tell everybody how much I enjoy watching your podcast as well. Just a couple things about Sarah's podcast if you haven't watched it. Uh, the title of her podcast, obviously, The Dabbling Shepherdess, I think is one of my favorite things of all, because dabbling is definitely the key word. One of Sarah's sort of missions is to encourage people to dabble, to try new crafts, to take on new things. She actually says sort of her motto is, I wrote this down so I don't mess it up. Her motto is, you can do anything, try everything. And I think that is brilliant. And Sarah, I fully blame you for my rug hooking, escapades of late, because rug hooking was not something that was on my radar at all. And when I was at a fiber festival and I was, listening to those guild people talk to me about how great rug hooking was, I actually thought about you, and I thought, yeah, this would be something that Sarah would say, go for it. If it's something you want to try, give it a shot. What's the worst that can happen? So thank you for always encouraging us to do that. Your big smile, your positive spirit, everything about watching your podcast is just makes you feel good. So if you definitely are in the market for a feel-good podcast, definitely go give Sarah a look. The other thing that I am completely obsessed with is the stash of fabric that is usually behind Sarah as she's talking to us on her podcast. It's amazing. So definitely go check that out. Sarah lives in Utah. She also has 2 beautiful pups that you sometimes get to see sort of. It's almost like the beauty of them running in the wilderness. So thank you for sharing that with us. And she's a really neat person. Even I think on a recent episode, she was talking a little bit about how she is very intrigued by the concept of homesteading, and even gave some really cool recommendations for books that I personally am hoping to check out as soon as possible. So Sarah, congratulations on your sheepy. I'm sorry that I can't hold it up and acknowledge it for you right here, because hopefully by now it is almost on its way to you. So you know the drill. Hopefully when you receive your sheepy on an upcoming episode of yours, maybe you'll take an opportunity to just give us all a little acceptance speech and tell us a little bit about what you love about doing your podcast. So congratulations again, Sarah, and thank you so much for the amazing swap package. I loved it. That said, you guys, I am going to wrap this up. I am considering this is episode 12, and I'm thinking I'm going to actually call this like episode 12 part 1, or who knows, maybe the next episode will be like episode 12 and 3/4. I thought that seemed like fun, because I had no idea that I was going to talk this much about Rhinebeck and not even get the chance to show you all the good stuff I've been working on. I even have like right behind me my hand spun journey that I was going to talk to you about, but there's no way. I'm not going to rush through that. We'll save that for next time. I had some socks I wanted to show you. I had some rug hooking. I had my big bad burgalong project. So it's all going to be coming, you guys, but maybe either Friday night or this weekend, I will film the rest of that. For now, I'm going to get this edited and get it out so that you know what you need to know about the new photo challenge. And so that Sarah actually gets her acknowledgement before, hopefully, she gets the package in the mail. So I guess that's it for now. I'm going to close out with maybe some, just a variety of photos that I took at Rhinebeck. So I hope you will enjoy them. And thank you so much for giving me the chance to kind of babble on about my first Rhinebeck adventure. I definitely do not think it will be my last, and hopefully the next time I will have the courage to say hi to those of you who are there. So, with that said, I hope that you take some time this week to pause for those stitches. And have a great week, you guys. Thanks. Bye.